Good evening and welcome to Close Up. On the show tonight, we will take a closer look at how we in the local media are covering the lead up to the September 17 general elections. We also speak to key political players who are also part of that process. And most importantly, the expectations of you, the voters, on how you feel about the coverage of this national event.
But the FLP admits it has also raised some concern.
Fiji First Leader Horenge Bainimarama says the Guli bill will...
September 17 general elections sets the tone of the day. Journalists are focused to finding their next big political story.
Tomorrow the FLP have to PDP.
Media rules and ethics are constantly in the back of their minds in one of the country's interesting times, as Fijians look forward to cast their vote under a new electoral system. Editors, on the other hand, are reminding their frontliners day in, day out about the importance of maintaining balance, accuracy, and scoring on political stories that will help prepare their readers, listeners, and viewers well for the polls.
There's one thing that we're trying to get across to our journalists, and it's about well-informed voters will be able to make well-informed decisions come elections.
Balance is the key to ensure that we're giving coverage to all the political parties. As you saw in our meeting, we're talking about different parties, who's responding to our requests as far as the meeting venues are concerned and how we're dealing with them, to ensure that we are finding all the information about all the parties and giving details to our listeners. At the same time, providing the facts as far as the issues are concerned. So it is good. We have found good ground. We're getting good response from our listeners.
I think we are trying to manage all the media. When I say we, trying to manage given the circumstances we have to work with. We are trying to cover the main political parties that have been registered to participate in the September 17 elections. But of course, like anything else, I would imagine that there's a lot of rooms for improvement.
There is never a moment the media proceeds with its business unwatched. Each at its time their contents are scrutinized at the highest level and opinions are formed on what they deliver line by line and on every political captions.
As long as we follow the code of ethics and ensure that we have balance, accuracy, fairness and integrity, accountability as far as our work is concerned, we should be fine in our coverage. And come election day, there's certain rules that are always put in place in all elections, not just Fiji. I think there's some misconception. For example, some people start talking about, how come campaign advertising cannot be done on election day? The rule is similar to all the countries in the world. We had this rule before. It's just that now it's a 48-hour period where you cannot talk about political parties. And then that's sort of like a cool-off period.
We are aware that we are under scrutiny and we have to fight this over. And first of all, we have a media decree. And I think the media decree tells us what to do. As I've said, we have to be balanced and to be fair. Not just to the politicians, but to the readers.
There isn't much critical interrogation of the statements that are being made by politicians and by opinion makers. For instance, there seems to be this kind of uncritical receptance when certain statements are being made. The nation would like to see a robust discussion about things that actually matter.
Many of the media organizations by now have a clear plan of how they will provide coverage of the lead up to the general election. For them, it's all about ensuring that eligible voters are well versed with all the political issues in order to make informed decisions on voting day.
We are making sure that whatever we write will not breach any of the new rules that we now have to play with, like the electoral decree, like the media decree, particularly bearing in mind the 48-hour news ban that will be imposed before the 17th. So we have been planning along those lines.
We're trying to be as fair and very balanced as we can. We're trying to give every political party an opportunity to be heard. In essence, what we're trying to do is offer a very level playing field, an opportunity for various political parties, aspiring candidates, to raise issues, voice issues, and at the same time, on the other side of the divide, hopefully we can then nurture an understanding where the voter is well informed. At the end of the day, it's about the voter being informed to make well informed decisions, as I said, at the polls.
Now we've shifted. We are not reporting directly, but we are getting reactions. And I think that is, we are giving the other parties a chance for them to react to whatever people are saying. For example, if the NFP has been saying that we go out with the land bank, they introduce the master list. Yeah. We have to know why they bring in master list in comparison with the land bank and LTB. LTB is the main player here.
For instance, if the politicians are making a bunch of statements, deploy some kind of critical intimacy around that question and say, well, what does this actually mean? Let me corroborate the facts, find out what the facts are, do some research, do your homework, and then critically evaluate that position rather than merely reproducing what the politicians are saying, because this is the ideal time for politicians to use the media.
For the industry's veterans and newcomers, the 2014 general election is yet another eye-opener in Fiji's political history.
I've never covered elections before, and also learning about politics every day. We cover different side of each political party. It's very exciting for me.
Actually, I'm very excited. This will be my first elections coverage, and I'm looking forward to it.
The two other elections we covered was in 2001, 2006. This is completely different, and I'm looking forward to it. It seems that I'm covering elections for the first time.
It's totally new and also as a photographer, I've heard that there are limited places to take pictures as a photographer, and I just don't know how it will be covered.
Welcome back. Now we get an insight of what the political players have to think about media coverage so far. The ability to getting the most coverage in radio, television, newspaper and other mediums is high on the agenda of all political parties. It's only through the media that they can reach out to hundreds of thousands of Fijian voters at any one time.
We would like you to be fair to everyone and to give people equal opportunity, equal time, so that any one person is not getting more than the others.
Some of the media organizations have tried very, very hard to provide to the people of this country a coverage of issues that concern them.
We're still in this culture of, well, this leader said that or this politician said that, so what do you have to say to that? And that's all they do. So that's not very good coverage, and I think what we find again is the lack of the media organization's ability to bring information to members of the public, independent information, correct information. But also I think there are some media organizations that are still fairly biased.
We recognize the important role the media plays. We have insisted all along that we need to have a free media, totally free media, running up to the elections, and we will continue to maintain that call.
So the discussion, space is opening up, and I don't see that kind of fear.
You got to get back to 2009 when the public emergency regulation was enforced, and then subsequently the media industry decree in 2010. If you put all that into perspective, it is very clear that the media has not been allowed to be free.
They still feel this restriction, this constraint on their, I believe, professionalism, which means that in normal times it would be very different. But they still feel that the media decree is still very much in existence.
To say that the media decree is somehow the other restricting people is absolutely not. There's no restrictions whatsoever. But the fact is that I know some of the stories that have been done where certain members of the public have made comments. You've only decided to cover their comment. You have not decided to cover the other side's comment. I mean, these are the kind of things you need to be focused on. The standards that have been set in the media decree, if you look at Schedule 1, is exactly the same as what was in the Media Council prior to the media decree. That was governed by all the media organizations. Exactly the same standards. So you cannot say that there's any deviation from those standards in any way that's oppressive.
While the role of the media is vital to keeping pulse pumping in any political camp, how much of the industry is on full mode in the lead up to the September 17 general election?
Our job is to enlighten the people, not only certain information that we think that these people should know. We should be fair, unbiased. Our loyalties to our viewers, let's tell them the truth. Let's tell them about the real news. I'd like that improved.
Important thing is that all political actors need to have equal access to the media, and not just political actors. I think it's imperative that the media tries to ascertain the views of ordinary citizens of this country, because their views actually matter. Right now the reports are very sort of elite driven. I've said to media time and time again, please go out onto the streets, talk to people, see what their political aspirations are, what their dreams are, what their fears are. The other, of course, crucial element in all this is that the media has to be absolutely free. Any sense of self-censorship because of a fear of recrimination or meddling into their work by those in authority or partisan actors or the interests of private actors will be an indictment of the fact that the media is actually not free.
Finally, on the show tonight, we will try and find out what you voters have to say about all this, whether the media is doing enough or whether they should do more.
I believe the media is not really opening up, because we know that the media is the eyes of the nation, a free eyes of the nation that can tell us what we don't know. But right now I know that it's not opening up. So I'm asking the media to open up for us.
Balat.
They're doing their best to cover so that each and every person of Fiji can have their knowledge of what is going around in Fiji about regarding this election. So they're doing their best, whatever they can.
From my side, I can say that in the politics, all the things from the country is happening. Yeah. They try to some want to put it up, and some want to put each other in the points they want to put up and down.
Undoubtedly, the role of the media in this general election is very important. Now we ask ourselves how our communities in the interior of the country are receiving their information about the political campaigns. Here with me is Vilise Niko from Wanimakutu in Namosi. Vilise, how are you getting your information? Is it, are you getting things clear from the main city of Suva about this political campaign?
Matata sar cuma meriti na vi tuku ya lapa cuma na balatan na vi ndina ni kima mi tuna sona ngoni salo so kima mi dingo tuki na kana richo sana ngona kima mi ndo wanga ona ni mami wili newspaper bo situnga na ni mami ndo warong richo walis.
It seems very strange that there's so much advertisement going on in the paper and in the television about the semi-urban, but not the rural. This radio, even though some homes have television now, but we do not have a regular power, source of power. So sometimes they start their generator maybe late, so they miss out the news and the information that comes through the media.
Media commentators and the industry's watchdog are keeping a close eye on election coverage, and for now they can only hope that good sense and fairness will always prevail in all media outlets.
I would like to see an improvement in the coverage of elections that we are looking at. Maybe we've got a short time to try and deliver to our audience. From the outset also, I would like to say that we're going through challenging times. I'd like to thank the present cadre of journalists who are out there under very tough circumstances. The media landscape in Fiji is more tough and difficult than the media landscape in New Zealand and Australia. They don't go through coups. For us, we've gone through 4 coups. I would like an improvement in coverage in media, not necessarily in the volume of coverage, but the quality of coverage. Things that we're talking about, the issues. We work for loyalty. Our loyalty is not to political parties. Our loyalty is not to personalities. Our loyalty is not to whatever faction, whatever sports team. Our loyalty is to the viewer, to the people out there that we don't see. I'd like that improved.
The media also has to be responsible. It has to be balanced. It has to be fair. It must not take sides with any of the political actors. The media needs to be transparent and accountable.
Political leaders have one last advice for the media as they gear up for the country's first ever one-day election.
The media has a huge responsibility to play to get the facts right. So I think it's very important As far as the role of the media is concerned in terms of putting the facts out to the public, let the public make the decision.
People need to be equipped with facts before they go to these polls. And so far, we're not seeing that coming out clearly in the media itself.
I think all political parties in this country deserve an equal, fair, and a detailed, coverage of at least their manifestos.
If the radio, the newspapers, and TV could give all the parties equal access, equal opportunity, equal time, because we would all like our message to be delivered to the people.
That's the end of the show tonight. Next week we will bring you our revamped close-up program as we go full steam ahead leading into elections. Thank you for watching.